What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got an interesting knife review for you. This is the QSP Phoenix. Now, QSP knives came out of left field for me. I was not aware that they existed, but I have a feeling there are a lot of brands like this that I'm not aware of that exist. You know, after the after the Ontario Rat Model 1 and D2 really nailed it, really knocked it out of the park as far as a dependable cutting tool with good materials, namely D2. This specific part of the knife world kind of exploded. We had a whole bunch of different Chinese brands making knives that were getting more and more ergonomic, more and more functional. You know, they were dialing in detents, getting you know, they had bearings in them. They were using D2, and they were being manufactured really well, and still are. And this is an example of that. Sorry, I made it sound like I was going to make a different point, but this is a great example of that. We have yet another inexpensive Chinese-made D2 and G10 knife that's got a really cool design. These can be had for about, I want to say they're $60. You can correct me in the comment section. Sometimes I forget to look stuff like that up, but this is in that, you know, around $50 range that you're seeing a lot of stuff like Bestech, the Bestech Lion and D2, and of course the Ontario Rat Model 1 and Model 2, and then also your what is the brand that I just reviewed? I'm sure I'll remember it, but it's the one that looks like a straight razor. But anyways, we'll move on here. I'm sure I'll remember it. This is another great example of that. So let's go ahead and get some measurements here real quick. This is a large knife coming in at looks to be almost 8.75 inches overall. I'd be willing to bet that it's almost exactly the same length as the Rat 1. Let's go ahead and measure the blade length. I'll tell you this, the cutting edge is 3.75, maybe 3.6. Overall blade, maybe 3.8. It's a big knife, definitely. How about some size comparisons? Let's go ahead and put this knife right up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Look at that. This is a Rat 1 size knife. It's even very close in overall silhouette, you know? I mean, this is probably going to be very similar to the same footprint as the Ontario Rat Model 1. How about up against the Spyderco Paramilitary 2? PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall, so just a little bit shorter. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, coming in at 8 inches overall. And just because I still really like showing it off, how about the Spyderco Manix 2? Manix 2 at 8 inches overall. And last but not least, the Spyderco Delica coming in at 7 inches overall. Let's go ahead and weigh this guy so we can see how much it weighs. Doesn't feel ridiculously heavy. Fans of the, since we're so close in size and silhouette to the, oops, where we go? A size and silhouette to the Rat. Let's go ahead and weigh the Rat. Can we get to ounces? Sorry, guys. Ounces. Goodness. Zero it out. Ounces. 4.94 ounces is what we're coming in on the Rat. Let's measure the Phoenix. 5.11. Now, the official weight on the Rat is 5 ounces. So if this is, you know, a tenth of an ounce heavier, then that's where you're at. Basically, what I'm saying is it weighs exactly the same as the Rat, and is about the same size. So this is definitely a Rat 1 size knife. Big, not massive. It's definitely gonna be right there. Let's go ahead and do the paper cut test here. As usual, the paper cut test is not a definitive cutting test. It's basically just a way for me to give you an example of the cutting edge right out of the box. This knife was provided to me directly by the manufacturer, and rather the pass-around group that I'm a part of. So again, I'll try to not let that affect my review, but being as I don't get to keep the knife, it shouldn't be that difficult. Let's go ahead and take a pass with the universal standard of sliciness, the Paramilitary 2. Slicey as ever, and compare it with the knife in question, the Phoenix. Also very slicey. A little bit more resistance is probably due to the nature of the blade not having as much curvature. And probably not, it's not ground exactly the same way, but it feels pretty good. 75%, maybe 80% the paramilitary too. Trying to get more leverage on those pieces of paper. Definitely well suited for EDC tests or outdoor use tests. Let's go ahead and look at the thickness. You can see the PM2 at 145 thousandths. This one here probably more comparable to the Mannix. Yeah, Mannix at 125 thousandths. Looks like we're probably right there in the same thickness range. If I could focus. Yeah, this looks to be about the same thickness as the Mannix 2. So, not a super thick blade. The blade that you've got on it is a reverse Tanto style, kind of Warncliffe, not really a Warncliffe because you have belly and the steepness here. It's a reverse Tanto blade shape with a little bit of belly. I like that. I actually really, really like the blade shape. Not a huge fan of the two-tone on here, but that's okay. Got some nice grind lines on this side. You can see it is D2. These knives are, like I said, manufactured in China. Coming down to the scales here, we have some really, really nice texturing. I love that texturing on G10. Everything's very well fitted, as most knives of this caliber are now. You know, fit and finish is no longer really an issue. You have little tiny Torx head body screws down here. You have a Rick Hinder filler tab style place for the pocket clip to be adjusted to the left-hand side. Pivot is nice. Semi-decorative. It's got a Torx head adjustment on the inside there, actually on both sides. So I hope the pivot barrel is D-shaped so that it's not free spinning. You've got a nice unobtrusive lanyard hole there. Goes right through the G10 backspacer. Full steel liners that come all the way out to the outside. You can see there's some internal milling in there. Coming around to the backside here, you have a pocket clip that looks a lot like the generic pocket clips you get on a lot of knives like this. And actually, I've seen some aftermarket clips, but it is a design that works. It's not sticking up too high to where it's going to grab anything. It's got good retention. It's got the divot there that's very comparable to what you see on the Spyderco spoon clip or the Hogue Ritter grip. The Hogue Ritter, it's actually very similar to that, given that it's deep carry and shaped like a combination between the original deep carry Benchmade clip and the Spyderco spoon clip. So that's really nice. Left side mirrors the right side, and then you've got a steel liner lock here. The knife runs on bearings and has an excellent detent. Not quite fall shut, but it does have very, very smooth action. Locks up solidly. No blade play up, down, left, or right. Liner lock is locking up at about 35-40%, maybe 45%, and the centering is dead on. This is an excellent knife. You also, I haven't talked about this, you've got some jimping up here on the back. There's no ramp, but it is just enough to catch your finger, and I'll say that I do like that. Now, these manufacturers are starting to pump out knives like this. Like, there's like a new design every week. It's like, it's G10 and it's D2 and it's a flipper and it's on bearings and it's amazing, you know, and it works. And so like these things, there's almost like a mini apocalypse in the knife world that's happening with these, and they're flooding the market, and I love them, and it fuels channels like mine. But at some point, it's just going to create this like bubble, and I mean, you know, something else is going to have to happen. So this is a great knife, and if you've been waiting, you know, for a long time to pull the trigger on the knife that's exactly right for you, and you've got about this much money to spend, and you're wanting one of these knives, this is a great one to pull the trigger on. I can go ahead and say that. We're only 8 minutes and 50 seconds into the video, but I can go ahead and say that. These come in black and OD green and tan, which is that's the cookie cutter release format for these types of knives. You know, the 3 colors that you get. I don't know if they all come in the two-tone blade. I kind of hope that they don't. I'm not a huge fan of the two-tone. It's just an aesthetic feature, given that I don't know what the coating is, but you've got part of the blade coated and part of it not coated. So yeah, you gain if it is an actual protective coating, then it protects 20% of your blade from corrosion, I guess. Sorry, there's a truck going by, but I really, me personally, would prefer an uncoated blade completely. Now, I'm probably making it sound like there's a but here. There's really not a but. You know, this knife is inexpensive. It is made with good materials. It's made in a way that is following market trends, and you know, is going to be appealing to a lot of people. And truthfully, the best thing about this knife, I think, is its overly simplistic look and design. It's kind of like the same reason I like the Bestech Lion. It's extremely simple. It fits within that range of size that a lot of people like. The ergonomics are solid. In fact, we haven't really talked about that. This space right here locks in the 3 fingers, and then the 4th finger wraps around here. You can see that bump right there. I'm fitting right in behind it. Medium, large size hands. Fills out the hand. If you're going to use a hammer grip, you've got a nice position to put your finger here. The flipper tab is very easy to use. It's small and unobtrusive. And actually, I'll show you up here. You've got a little tiny bit of jimping on, or texturing on the flipper tab right up top. But everything is very nicely rounded, so it's very comfortable, and the landing zone for your finger is very smooth. So as far as flipping this thing over and over again, yeah, it's very easy. Now, I will say this. Something that's a little bit frustrating, there's not a lot of room to get your finger in there behind that thing. It's raised just enough to where you can get it, but over time, it's going to kind of dig into your finger a little bit. Not that big of a deal. I'm sure people are just saying, hey, suck it up, you're being a wiener. Yeah, you'll notice that when you're flipping it over and over again on your couch. This is a great knife. Changes that I would make, obviously, I'm not, I don't want the two-tone blade. I'd like to see just a full satin blade or a tumbled blade, or for them to do an all-black blade. That would be nice. Love the texturing on the handle. Wouldn't change a thing about that. I love how the handle looks. I would go with black, personally. I would also, given the length of this blade, I would really like to see a forward choil on it. And I know I'm biased towards forward choils. That's just me. That's just what I want to see on this thing. I really, really love the design of this knife overall, and I think it could be a home run for a lot of people. And it's designed in a way, and the blade is designed in a way that is extremely utilitarian. This is a great outdoor work knife. Somewhat, it's not going to break the bank, and it's also not going to kill you if you lose it or it breaks or whatever. I don't think it's going to break, but at around the $60 mark, at least for me, that's not something that's going to crush me if I lose it or if the knife perishes in some way. Ask me what I would do if that happened to one of my XM18s. I don't know. You guys may not hear from me for a week while I'm grieving, but that's my point, is that these knives are plentiful and they're flooding the market, and some people kind of roll their eyes when they see a new model come out, but it's giving you guys a lot of options, and it's definitely fueling, knives like this definitely fuel my channel. So I do really like this knife. I absolutely can recommend it. I can't find any flaws with it. Left and right hand, tip up carry, that's great. Pocket clip is a great design and unobtrusive. It's going to carry about the same as the Rat 1. I like the backspacer. I like the fact that there are full steel liners. This is my kind of knife. I just really wish there was a choil on it. That would make it great for me. So my ideal version, black handle, satin or tumbled blade. Give me a forward choil, and I'm happy. Those are little tiny personal nitpicks. This version right in front of you might actually be your most preferable version of this knife. So if it is, go ahead and buy it. It's worth the money. That's honestly pretty much all I can say about this knife. I really like it. It'll absolutely go on my list of most recommended knives. So definitely check those out. But anyways, guys, that's going to be pretty much it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And if you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel, because there's definitely more coming. I don't think I said it in the beginning of the video, so I'll say it now. Those of you who have been subscribed to me for a while, if you enjoy my content, and you'd like to support me, you can do so for just $1 by following the link in the description and supporting my Patreon. It would absolutely mean the world to me. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.